coding about and learning about plasma. Cool emoji. Okay, cool. Hello. So I was streaming last time and it was actually super duper fun for my poor little ADHD brain. So we're gonna do it again. And basically what I'm trying to do today is a little project based off of what you are looking at currently right here. And it looks a little bit daunting, but I think I'm gonna really quickly explain. So basically, plasma is cool. And a lot of the time it's actually really useful to have. So maybe you want to generate plasma for experimental techniques, or you want to like generate an ion beam or electron beam, or you want to use it as like a superconductor. There's a lot of different purposes that you would want plasma for. And when you want to generate it, like how do you make it? Because plasma is basically just like a bunch of excited gas, like ionized gas, you want to send a lot of electricity through gas, and the chamber that is often used to do so and to generate these like directed beams is called a Mather's type machine, and the dimensions for that, anytime somebody wants to construct a machine like this, they have to calculate how big they want the inside to be. So this is a diagram of it, how big they want the inside to be, how big they want the outside electrode to be, and that's a lot of math in there. That's a lot of math, that's a lot of theory. If you had to do that from scratch every single time, it'd be so much work. So basically, what these lovely professors at the Plasma Focus Institute for Plasma Focus Studies, notably these three, what they have done is created and open sourced a model that you can use to determine the dimensions of the inner anode and the outer cathode for making these machines from scratch. And it's really cool. And I love that they're freaking adorable human beings. Like, look at this. That's one of my favorite things. Look at it's just what a delightful human being. And aside from that, they're just like really hell bent on making sure that this knowledge is like free, open, and accessible to a lot of people. And that includes this thing. So what you're looking at right now is a spreadsheet that has a bunch of macros and calculations in it to help people calculate these dimensions for themselves so that they can build these machines without doing all that precursor research themselves as well. Some of the explanation is here on their actual website. So if you go to just like plasmafocus.net, it'll go to the Lee model, and then you can look at the description and the code here, where they provide the code for free and a description of what some of the parameters are. And then more extensively, they have like a much longer paper describing all the intricacies of what every variable is with some helpful diagrams. So my job today is that I want to understand how any of this works to a further extent than I did previously. But also, I think it's crazy that this is the new and improved version from all of the work that they did translating the model code from GW Basic to Visual Basic. And I think that the last time they did that was 2005, 2006. It is now 2023. There's still people actively using this because some of the best in the field. And I want to make it into Python just to make sure that people can use it. Yeah. Okay, so hello?
Am I to understand that you are not a confident driver and you are not someone that likes to drive?
I do not like driving. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna time myself like 30 minutes to do this. Okay, so what I was describing earlier, but then the thing stopped recording, is that as you use this Plasma Dense Focus machine, there are 5 different stages in order to generate the output, the desired output, which is this pinch effect. So the pinch effect is when there's a bunch of like compressive force from the electrical current that is useful for doing things like fusion, or like neutron generation, X-ray generation. And how you get there is that you have like these 5 different stages, and also like apologies if this is not like fully easy to follow along with. I think if I were like actively teaching, it would be hopefully much better. But I think I am learning alongside, and I'm kind of just like, the really funny thing that my friend Joss once said is that like I learn better with my mouth open, and like I think that's just genuinely the case. Like things make more sense when I'm trying to explain it. So basically, as you are creating these beams of X-ray, neutrons, ions, whatever, there's 5 different stages in order to get there. So the first of which, and that's like loosely mapped to these 5 different diagrams that exist here. These are also kind of the 5 stages, but roughly I actually think that DPF GIF is probably the best way to explain what we're looking at here. Let's see. Give us what we want, please. La-di-da. Oh, there we go. Okay, here. Look at that. Okay, so note a couple things. Outer electrode, so the cathode. Inner electrode, anode. There is electrical force moving throughout the inside chamber, and it kind of shrinks in like a mushroom, and then it pulses something outwards. This is the phenomenon that we're going to be looking at and trying to model the behavior of for the next God knows how many hours. So this is a good thing to note. I wonder if Figma will allow me. Oh no. Okay, Figma has yet to allow GIFs. That's fine. But in spirit, this is here cheering us on. So that's what this diagram is trying to represent. That's what this diagram is trying to represent. That's what all these diagrams are trying to represent. So now you have a sense of what we're actually trying to do. So they split it into 5 stages. I think for the longest time they only had the first 3 stages publicly accessible, and then now there's 5 with fast ion beams calculated, or the calculations embedded as well. So basically you start off by filling up, so there's gas in between these, like the inner and the outer electrodes, and those gases can be any of these. Yeah, so any gas. I believe there's also like a whole section here for determining what type of fuel you want to use, but I assume that if you're working with DT, which is a variation of hydrogen, and all of these, that would be for the inside of the fuel cell, right in here, rather than the outer ring. So we're gonna ignore that for now and continue on. So basically you shoot up. Okay, there's a whole other circuit attached before you get to the end machine, and this circuit is maybe a series of capacitors, maybe it's a Marx generator, maybe it's a linear transformer driver. But basically this point of this whole beginning part is to generate very, very high voltages. So once you generate the high voltages and you reach this top bar, you're getting to this like machine basically. And then once you get to this machine part, there's the axial phase, which is moving electrical current and thus electrical force throughout the anode and the cathode, so that and then as it progresses forward, the plasma generated becomes more dense because there's more electricity, and yeah, that's my intuition. And then from then, once you reach, and it basically has a similar functionality as like the spark gap mechanism, where there is maybe like the electrode and the anode with just air in between, or maybe it's a vacuum, I'm not sure. I think when they adjust the pressure, I think that is the pressure that they adjust. But there is a Yeah, my intuition is that when you ionize the air, it completes the circuit between the anode and the cathode, and then because of that, it's weird because when we are looking at this, the anode is positively charged and the cathode is negatively charged, which is the inverse of what it usually is for like batteries and shit. So when that circuit connects, it basically completes the circuit, and then the electrical current, the electrons from the outer cathode move inwards, creates that like mushroom shape, and that's the first pinch effect. And then that becomes the second, so the radial inward shock. So it's radial because it's like circular, moving in, inward shock. And then as things are compressing inwards, the electromagnetic waves will also interact and then bounce back outwards. So that is the radial, I think reflected shock is phase number 3. And I think when people talk about like sausage and kink instabilities, and like there's one like German word that like starts with a B, like that is also what is happening here. So if the plasmas are generated and like coils are generated, this is when it gets like tangled up. And then number 4 is the expanded axial post-pinch phase. Okay, so yeah, I imagine this is when it like pinches back into the beam, and the beam shoots outwards and things cool. So that appears to me as to what is going on here. Okay, and yeah, we're trying to get the dimensions of how to design something like this. So we're gonna spend the next, I guess, like 22 minutes trying to understand what the rest of this like parameter set is here before we go and code this. So this is the code from Visual Basic in the original spreadsheet, and this is what we're going to be translating. I think the hardest part about streaming will like be being cognizant of my humming. I think I hum a lot, and like people that are usually around me know this, but it's like I think it's annoying to listen to. Like I don't like listening to people hum, but I hum. So, yeah, okay. So I started labeling this over here. Yeah, so the first one, L, is the inductance of the bank. So when we're looking at the diagram before, the circuit creating the high voltages that are being sent through this like Mathers type device, that the inductance that carries is here. But it being nanohenries is really, really low. But really low? Okay, so maybe that's not what I think it is. Okay, but inductance. Maybe this will explain to me. Interesting that like the commonality between all of the models, the papers, and the descriptions of what is going on, the axial and the radial phase are like pretty consistent, and then everything else kind of gets a little wonky. And I think it's because like it's unclear even to some of the researchers of like what actually happens then. Yeah, plasma focus. Cool. Okay, I want to know what L0 is. L0. Okay. First mention of this appears. See? Mesh. Okay. La-da-da. But what okay, so I understand that this is a relation that seems to recur. So it feels important. We're gonna save this. This is funny. They call it the snowplow model. Okay, equation of motion. Okay, surely there has to be descriptions of this in his actual site as well. if a plasma flux is 100, okay, that's fine. Yes, so this is the code. Correct. Description. Different. Okay. Model parameters as suggested below. Hypothetical. Okay, stray resistance. Okay, so this helpful stray resistance, undampened peak current. Yes, axial phase, radial phase. Slow compressive radial phase is an interesting phase. Yes, packaged in the form of reasonable results. Slow phase. Yes. Okay. Number phase 3. The Bremsstrahlung. Oh God, I butchered that. Okay. Theoretical basis. Description of. Okay, yes, bless. Nice. Okay, these are columns. This is helpful. This is good. Okay, this is also helpful. I would love descriptions of what. I think it's mostly in here, but that's not gonna be the most useful for us. Okay. Alright. Taper, I don't really know what the taper does. Yeah, I think there's like a tension between wanting to just complete this and then provide a public good just by doing pure translation and then mapping blindly to see whether or not the output is what is expected. I don't really want to do that. I want to understand what's happening. But it's also 40 years of research and I'm trying to do it in an afternoon. So, okay. Yeah, the important part is that like B is the outer electrode radius, so this part, I guess since it's the radius, it's only until here, and then A is this. Okay, A and B, and then Z is the length of plasma column. My intuition is that it is the x-axis length here, and then stray circuit resistance. I don't know if this is the circuit or if the attachment before this is the circuit, because that would make sense that like these three values are related. Okay, and then the F, 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 C, F, 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 M. Okay. Mass. Okay, mass and current. But what is F? Okay, C0, and then C1. CF. Okay, so that's I think these are forces. There's the force of current, force of resistance, and the force of momentum. No, fraction of mass. Okay, got it. This is helpful. Fraction of mass swept down the tube. Oh, okay, and that's why it's a ratio between 0 and 1. Yeah, okay, so this is the fraction of mass. Yay, discovering things. In axial direction. Okay, cool. I can imagine this is for when you are pushing electrical current and electrical force through in the axial direction. This is how much of 100 is actually pushed along. And then the C, okay, now we know that F stands for fraction. This is a good thing. I see fraction of current, yes, flowing in the piston or current. What does this mean? Okay. Let's ask. What is the piston in a dense plasma focus machine? Dynamic in plasma referring to a physical mechanical piston found in engines. Okay. Yeah, I'm so unfamiliar with a lot of like. Why did I just look up what am I doing? Okay. Piston. I'm guessing this. What a series of the past 1 minute this has been. Okay. Lovely. How dear. Okay. Thing that goes up and down. Piston. I'm guessing it's like an implicit piston. Because there's no like capping force. There's no cap. Okay. Okay, I roughly understand what they're getting at. FMR. What could this be? Pray tell. I love when I am in the zone and start speaking like a Victorian man. Okay, so this is the first time that it appears. I'm guessing they describe it slightly before. The model parameters radial phase mass swept up and the current factors. Okay, so these are current factors. Okay, hold on. Radial mass. So this is just mass, and this is radial mass, and this is current mass. Okay, current radial. Fraction of mass radial swept up. Okay, fraction of current radial swept up. Okay. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. It could be 100% wrong, but we are getting a rough sense for things here. When you are moving electrical force down this electrode, there's going to be a percentage that moves along with that current. Those are the first two parameters for the F's that we just looked at. It's the fraction of mass and the fraction of current that moves along. And then, in the second step, when you move inwards radially, because this first is axial, and when you move radially, how much that then is. And then that's the next two. Okay, and then the voltage. What could this be? Voltage. I'm guessing this is just voltage that is being sent along. In kV, that makes sense. And then this is torr being a unit of pressure is the amount of pressure that is within that chamber between the two electrodes, which is interesting because like sometimes there is no chamber and sometimes it's just like a bunch of rods, and according to what some people have told me, sometimes they replace this outer electrode altogether with just more plasma, which I don't really know how that works, but apparently it does. Okay, and then the molecular weight, molecular number, yes, that makes sense, because it maps to argon, I think, right now, although that should be 10. Okay, hold on. Oh, not argon. It maps to neon right now, so this is the default, I guess, is neon, and then choosing whether or not you're looking at the atomic or the molecular weight here. So that part makes sense. Okay, rho. I don't know if these are calculated. These don't look like user friendliness wise things that people are supposed to go in and change. I think they're just parameters that are helpful to have and are constants. There's some tapering. Okay, why I know is the amount of neutrons generated. It could be wrong, but we're gonna take that as a guess. Where are we at? Okay, that's not the most helpful thing, just because there's so many Maybe it's like y that. No, nothing? Okay, never mind. Maybe YTH. Dubs. Okay, the yield. Yes, yield. Y for yield. Yay. What's TH? Intervals over the focus. Oh, okay. Maybe thermonuclear. Yeah, okay. I would put my guess on thermonuclear yield. Spelling's hard. Okay, so for these voltage sent through device, pressure of internal cavity between electrodes, molecular weight. I think this is the gas between the two electrodes. However, that's a bit odd to me because we look at deuterium tritium, which is usually, I don't think, used as a gas like that in the outside and is rather used in the inner fuel cell. So I think that would be odd. Yeah, but look, the fractions are given. So this is a fraction of mass, radial, fraction of current, molecular. Okay, so these are other info provided. Okay, and then the radial end. Yes, this duration thing I actually think matters. So this set of parameters I think we're not going to touch or look at. Less relevant. Taper. What does it mean to taper? Indents in DPF. I see. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, so the tapering is like whether or not this outer electrode looks like this. If it like curves in slightly. I'm guessing the advantage of that is that it funnels towards, there's like a smaller gap in between here, so it's like more sensitive to larger amounts of plasma, but also perhaps like higher beam generation or higher yield. Okay, but then you would, okay, taper start and taper end time. Okay, yeah, this makes sense. What you need, and it looks like we're going with no for now. Radial start, radial durations, pinch durations. Okay, so telling us what microsecond we want it to last for when we want to start. Pinch duration. I'm unsure what a radial duration means. Yes, we have 5 minutes left to understand what these parameters are, and then we're moving on to the actual code. Yeah, we're nowhere near actually understanding everything, but this is the first step. I think once we get into it, it'll make more sense. But we can't stay here trying to understand things forever. Water. Stay hydrated. Okay, radial duration is not a standard or commonly used term. Awesome, we love when that happens. Educated guess, me too. Radial aspect. Okay, so I'm guessing it's how long we anticipate or want it to take for that like mushrooming effect to happen in the second step. Like right here, like this part when it does that first radial pinch. Although I'm not super sure. Okay, so maybe it's something that we set and something that we would want to optimize for to determine, because maybe the collection tactic that we were using in terms of like how we're funneling the ion beams or the electron beams requires a certain length of pinch or certain length of like I guess like duration, and then yeah, basically what this model will produce for us is like the amount of neutron yield depending on the duration parameters. So I guess then this would indicate to scientists and experimentalists whether or not their duration time is realistic, and then that provides some confines to design their like collection techniques. So that's my intuition for why something like this would be useful. Okay, cool. I feel like I get it more than I did, but obviously, like this whole section, there's quite a bit. You know what? We got 3 minutes. No. I think we'll come across it in due time, and then it'll have to make sense. I think what else is useful to know is each of these. Okay, they're all hiding. CR, TR, IR. Okay, interesting. I think these are. Okay, and then there's additional values. What if I change this? Oh, that doesn't change. Okay, I can imagine that this changes this in the code. That's what we'll end up seeing. So we're gonna change this back. What is this? It looks like these are really the only things that are expected to change or be adapted. Okay. Well, luckily for me, I have an XPS right beside me that can actually run this code. I think that'd be a really big pain to not be able to modify that. 60, 20. Ooh, okay. So I just tried to run the code on my other computer and it just like completely blocked and froze my computer. Imagine being a scientist trying to optimize this and like having to wait like 10 minutes for one generation. That to me is unacceptable. So okay, more incentive, more fuel. Okay. Okay, it does update that. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I wish I could show this. Okay, we're gonna do something crazy. Something straight out of pocket. Is this visible? So this this feels like the Spider-Man meme pointing to itself, but yeah, this is the code that I'm looking at. Okay. I think the problem that I had on the other code that I'm trying to run right now is that the molecular weights were too high. So I'm going to choose something with a slightly lower rate. I'll probably send it back to Neon because it seems like something that was working well before, and it's the default, so I think that would run a little bit better. So yep, yeah, that runs much better, much more smoothly. Okay. I'm gonna send this to myself. So, not to expose. Okay. Oh my god, it's actually an OPSEC thing. I actually can't focus on. Oh. Okay. We are going to take a 5-minute break. I'm gonna get water, and then we're gonna get back to this and we're gonna start coding. Ah, yes. Ooh, but I want to start now. Oh, interesting. Okay, this provides a lot for us. actually. So basically, up until line 76 is all comments. So this might be kinder than anticipated. Okay, yeah. And it gets into like assembly code like thing where it like sends you to a specific line to run loops and if statements. I think this will, more than a challenge of understanding physics, this will be a challenge of understanding Visual Basic, which is probably the most trail I've learned this year. I know. So okay. Yeah, we got this. It's so on. Okay. Yeah, okay, be right back. See you in 5. Okay, I'm done chewing. We are so back. Okay. You know that. Let's begin. Okay. Probably full screen this. Okay, so this we don't need. I wish there's a way to make like comments, not comments in Visual Basic, but like comments on code files, like little, the equivalent of like little scribbles. But yeah. Okay, specific heat ratio, outer radius, inner radius, length of anode. Okay, Z0 being the length of anode, so this is correct. So we guessed this correctly. Yay, love when that happens. Okay. Not C0. Capacitance. Energy storage capacitance. And ferrite. Ditto. Circuit straight inductance. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, I don't know why we didn't look at this earlier. Most of our guesses were pretty accurate. So we're gonna drop this at the top of the file. Comment that out so it's not too busy. What does this mean in VBA? How many rows? Okay, so dim is variable declaration. Good to know. Okay, so this is variable declaration. Okay. Where is this in the flag? Okay. So I think these are internal, like, status check flags rather than values. Quick device choice. Okay. Device choice being active cells 415, 4, and then 50. I feel like that's not it. Maybe it's like 4, 15 this way. That was probably this. Fill the next cell. Use the left panel here, or 1, 2, 3. Okay, so interestingly, when it dictates the cells, it's the y-axis first and then the x. That's messed up. Cool, I guess I'll take it. If 0, go to 320. 320. Interesting. We're gonna run a little experiment. And it's going to be... it's definitely not gonna work. But it might give us some details. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so what we want to do is actually like move off the cell structure entirely, but this might give some clarity, because if we can translate everything into Python and then translate this Python into differently structured Python, that's much easier than reading. Okay, I see. So this is basically setting up presets for 1, 2, or 3. 1 being the United Nations University one, and then NX, and then PF 1000. I believe that he indicated that the PF 1000 is the default one that they provide to people. And and then this is filling in these values. Okay, I see. Okay, so we also need to think about like what is the ideal way that we want the user to interact with this model. And I think it might be with like a really simple UI. I feel like none of these are quite exactly what I'm looking for. A lot of love for this one. Okay, I can get behind this. I want demos. It seems really feature rich. I want like a really simple one, like one that was like is probably like a startup that like started 6 months ago, so they don't have that many features built out, but it's fast and it's good. Okay, that's quite nice. Yeah, we can definitely do something like this. Tinker. Okay. Tinctor? How do I? Yeah, it's very like Pythonic, like everything class based. Maybe we don't need this yet, actually. It might be the move instead of doing this in a script to do it in a notebook. Yeah, that might be the move. Really good at naming things. Maybe some of the best. Okay, Jupyter. And I think it's just dpf dot py. Oh, that's okay. Jupyter notebook. Ah, got him. Nice. Right, okay, excellent. That is good because we can also use text. I forgot how good Python. I forgot how good notebooks are. See if anybody has done this actually. I don't think so. Yeah, I think that what I'll do first is split this into. Oh, my chair's not wheeling. Yeah, I'm gonna set all of just like the parameters at the beginning in a kind of an ugly way, but I think the important thing is that it works. Oh, my key is stuck. Okay, so this is for the machine. The neon machine. This is for the PF100 machine. Okay, so that actually covers the bulk of this. 86. Okay. Into Excel machine parameters in convenient units. Okay. Pinch inductive energy. Did that backspace? Yes, it did. Fen. Oh. Is that what it was before? Okay, I'm gonna check the original Excel code. That is my little source of truth that I refer to every so often because I don't want to mess anything up. I'm also gonna start talking a lot less. Yeah. As a heads up. Okay, I see. So this is one big comment. Okay, so now I'm reading through L0, L0. Okay, so these are calling for different parts of the active sheet, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, so now it's self-assigning each of these, but I think otherwise we would be assigning these manually. Yeah, I could totally have just like regex this, but that's fine. It's probably faster. Okay, so these are setting for what? To expect the range of things to be. Input machine operational parameters in component units. Yeah, it appears that it changed. So this is comment, 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 and the actual definition happens around here. For 7.1, 7.2, 1, 2, 3, 7, no, 7, 1, 7, 2, 7. Okay, so it's these values next. Oh, right, it is these ones. Yes, and these are just constants. Okay, so this gives us something and that, and that, and that. Okay, cool. So at this point, we're still just assigning variables. What is EMP? What does this mean? Accumulate the energy dissipated by the dynamic resistance effect in the system. This is done through the following line of code. Okay. Yeah, I think it appears to have this like central root core function for a lot of the things, and then it and then what is Zn? What will it tell us here? I'm so sleepy. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing where this E, I, and P value is. We can just... Oh, way over here. Okay. Finance. Oh, it's a percentage. Okay, interesting. Flight. Like a bit flows. Oh, interesting. It hasn't updated? Or has it? Okay, yeah, this is...